Comair Alexa, thank you so much for locking up with me today. You know, I'm really trying to sharpen my MMA skills so I'm better equipped to review Shayna Baszler's brand new figure.
You have a lot of work to do. I basically dominated you.
Hey, I wouldn't go that far.
Bro, look at yourself. You're all messed up. Looks like you were hit by the Comair Alexa Express.
What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Whoa, my God, there's 6 of you. Well, anyway, I'm just really happy that I wasn't sparring with Robo Tamina.
I think I have mastered this MMA stuff. My work here is done.
Welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here, and welcome to the start of an extremely busy week here in LumberJillville. And I mean busy for the good, because I have tons of brand new women's wrestling figure pre-orders arriving this week, and as soon as I get them, you'll have a review. So look for tons of reviews this week, and this Saturday, the 22nd of January, we're going to have the second annual Jillies Award Show, and a lot of those awards were voted by all of y'all, the fans. So I'm really excited for the award show this year, and even before the show, the Treasure and I are going to go on the YouTube channel live and do like a kickoff pre-show type thing, where we do giveaways, talk to all of y'all, so I'm really excited for this weekend. But even before that, I'm excited for this week. So let's start off with this arrival of the brand new Shayna Baszler from Basic Series 127. Now let's take a closer look at this figure, starting with the packaging. Alright, so once again we have that black and red theme packaging with the little blue accents on the side here that we've seen since Basic Series 125, and once again, I think it's a really sharp packaging, and I've never really felt the need to display basic figures, but this gives me a reason, because if you're going to display a basic figure that you like and whatnot, this looks really cool. So I really do like this packaging, especially in the basic form. So obviously we have that giant photo of the superstar Shayna Baszler in this instance there. On the side with her name, we have a nice clear open window, getting a good look at the figure from all angles here. We have the Basic Series in the corner, and then on the back, we have the rest of the line, a giant photo of her, and what's really cool is we have her signature moves up here, and then we have what she's categorized, which is a grappler. So yeah, it's really cool. I really do enjoy the little stats and whatnot and bios that they put on the new packaging, but yeah, I really do like the new basic packaging, almost more than I like this theme on the Elites. But either way, let's open it up and take a closer look. WWE Basic Series 127 Shayna Baszler. This attire is from the 2020 WWE TLC pay-per-view, which took place on December 20th at the Thunderdome. On this night, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax would lose their tag team championships to the team of Asuka and Charlotte. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure, well, to be honest with you, they are a lot better having this figure in hand, in person, than when I first saw images of this figure online. Now, it's no secret that Mattel has really decreased the quality, overall effort put into the women's basics the last couple years. However, in my reviews, I've said time and time again, they can still produce quality women's basic figures if they really focus on attention to detail and the paint application in their attires, and this might be an instance, just looking at it from a distance, where it works. So obviously we'll break this figure down, take a closer look, and compare it to her previous Elite releases. But yeah, my overall first impressions are, okay, this basic might be one that works solely on paint application alone. So that being said, let's take a closer look at the scan. Alright, so taking a closer look at her scan, I'll be honest with y'all, I was really convinced that it was a little bit different than her previous scan used in her last two figures. But it's the same, either way you look at it. And a big thing is with that TrueFX face scan technology, how it's printed on your figure makes a big difference as to the quality of the scan. And I don't know if it's printed on my Elite Shaynas that well. So obviously it's printed on here rather nicely. Now, breaking down the scan itself, I don't think it's perfect. I think it's one of those scans that people either hate or they love, and I'm kind of right in the middle. I think it works, but I think it has a lot of room for improvement, and it is disappointing that we've gotten the same exact Shayna scan the last couple years. I would have really loved to see an aggressive Shayna Baszler scan, even a different hair sculpt mold with her hair down that we've seen quite a bit as of recent. Also, I think a big issue with this scan is the eyeliner around her eyes. She's known to have those dark circles around her eyes. And we just don't get that here. It is a little dark on the underside of the eyelids and a little bit above, but it's the same exact amount that we've seen the last couple figure releases, whereas by now, Shayna's known to have those dark circles around her eyes, and that would have been such an easy fix that they could have done. If they're going to stick to that same scan, at least add those dark circles to enhance that scan. But yeah, I think it's time for her to get a new scan and to get a new hair sculpt, because this is just an okay scan in my opinion. Alright, so moving on down to her body mold and attire. I think they did an excellent job as far as the body sculpt that they chose. And I actually think the attire works really well here. As I mentioned before, there's not a whole lot of effort as far as molding detail goes into these women's basics, but they can still make it work even with minimal molding if the paint application is done right and if the superstar's attire allows it. And here, I think, is an example of it working. So we have a little bit of molding between the chest, but that top is completely painted on in black. But what's nice is the little gold accents that we get. Now, when I first saw images of this figure, I was convinced it was going to be like a tan color or not have that metallic shine. But I'm happy to say we have that accurate metallic gold shine on that symbol, logo, whatever you want to call it, across the chest. And it looks rather nice. On the back, we have Queen's Army in white text with a gold little outline. So for basic, the paint application here is pretty intricate and works really well. Now, what's nice is that tattoo detail on her left deltoid and outer arm. It actually looks really well. They've always done a good job with tattoo details, so I'm happy that that looks so good. Now, moving on to her lower body here. Once again, the paint application here is rather good. We have that little crown there with gold and white accents going around. On her behind, we have that spade, and it's going to be hard to tell. Let me try to steady it here. But the paint detail is actually really intricate and really nice here. They do a good job on that spade logo. Obviously, on the side of her leg, we have that metallic gold outlining the spade. We have black knee pads on there, and then her boots don't have a whole lot of deco, except for on the kick pads, we have pretty intricate paint. So I am happy that they did choose to use metallic gold here, because I was convinced they were going to. So yeah, this is one of those examples where the attire can work, and they can make a women's basic look good if they put the attention and care and love into the paint application of the attire alone. Alright, so I usually don't cover articulation in these women's basic figures because you kind of know what to get, and that's not a whole lot of articulation. But I did want to cover a couple of important things with this figure. So the first thing is, she doesn't stand like very well at all, and that's something we've seen time and time again with this body mold. So to get her to stand, you kind of have to move her arms in front of her, kind of bend her forward a little bit, and it looks silly. So I would suggest a display stand for this figure. Another thing is, I've seen a lot of promotional shots of this figure where she has her hands above her head doing her little signature spade hand pose. But this looks dumb. I'm going to be honest with y'all. This looks silly. It looks stupid. It doesn't work. I mean, Mattel knows the limitations that these women's basics have, so why would they even attempt to do this? It looks more like she got photographed, you know, going down Splash Mountain at Disney World. Like, woo! You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like her spade hand signal. So I think that's a dumb choice, especially because Shayna is such a BA and has an MMA background that we should have got two fists for her to really make her functional. But here we just have two open hands, and yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on display above her head. It doesn't work if she's looking like she's, you know, aggressive. It's just a pretty poor part choice in my opinion. But with that being said, let's compare this basic to her previous two figures, which were elites. Alright, so now let's do a little comparison between all of Shayna Baszler's figures released by Mattel thus far. Now on the far left, we have Shayna's first-in-line figure with Elite Series 67. In the middle, we have that Amazon-exclusive Fan Takeover Elite. And on the right, obviously, we have that Basic Series 127 that we're looking at today. Now, these do look identical in the face sculpt, face scan, hair mold. And that's something that I talked about earlier in the review. Like, she does deserve an updated scan. It's been the same for years. And her look has changed a little bit. So, yeah. But with that aside, looking at these three, if you had to rank them, I hate to say this because I think it's a pretty decent basic, but that basic would definitely be the worst of the three. So if you're looking to add a Shayna to your collection, don't go for the basic. It's just not worth it. Especially because the Elites can be bought for a pretty decent price right now. Now, as far as the Elites go, which one do I think is the best Shayna Baszler figure? For me, it's hands down that Fan Takeover Amazon exclusive. Now, it is important to note that you can get her off of Ringside Collectibles also, but on Amazon, you can get her for less than 20 bucks Prime, shipped to your house by tomorrow or the next day. So, I mean, it's an excellent price for an excellent women's elite that is extremely underrated. I mean, this really didn't get a whole lot of votes for Women's Elite of the Year, and I think it is an awesome figure. So, obviously, we get that nice neck towel accessory here. We have that awesome silver paint application mixed with the black in her attire. And it's important to note that this figure goes awesome with that Nia Jax Elite 89 Chase, where she has purple and silver. I mean, those two figures look excellent together. But either way, now looking at this NXT Women's Championship, this is the best version we've got of the NXT Women's Championship. So that's another reason why this figure's awesome. Now, I know it's just a repainted Men's Championship, and that does tick me off. We deserve a different mold that's a little smaller, that fits the women a little better. But this is the best we have. That silver lettering really contrasts well with that gold in the background as the base colors. So, yeah, I think this is by far the best Shayna figure. This is also the one and only time so far that we get these signature hands. Now, I know her hands can't really go together, but it looks okay. And it is important to note, this is before the women's elites had the standardized double elbow joint, which she really could have benefited here. But like I said, it was before it was standardized across all women's elites. So down the road, hopefully we get a Shayna Elite with double jointed elbows and these hands, and we can really put her hands together. But if you can't, for some reason, find this Fan Takeover Elite online, this is a pretty cool figure, her first in line Elite 67. Pretty awesome, really cool paint application applied all over. Looks great. That NXT Women's Championship is trash. It is just an NXT Men's Championship. It's not even painted right. So that's disappointing, but the figure itself is also pretty cool. And I used to think this was super underrated, but now I think the Fan Takeover is by far one of the most underrated women's figures of all time. And here's one last look at Basic Series 127, Shayna Baszler. Alright, so before I give this figure an overall score, I just want to remind you all that I do have a different scoring scale between my women's basics and women's elites, so just keep that in mind. Now, that being said, I give Basic Series 127 Shayna Baszler an overall score of a 7.5 out of 10. Now, here's the thing. This is a solid and pretty decent women's basic that does work as far as the attire goes because they do a good job with the paint application here. But here's the thing. Shayna deserves a new scan. She has been a predominant part of television for the last few years, and she's had the same face sculpt, same scan, same hair sculpt since her initial figure in Elite 67. And that's ridiculous. We have some men's figures like Damian Priest who within a calendar year got an updated scan, then knocked it out of the park. So why do we have the same scan for Shayna? She deserves a brand new scan, brand new hair sculpt. And yeah, that just kind of fires me up because she is such an important part of the women's division. And here we are with the same scan that she's had since the start of her figure releases. So that kind of drives me wild, and the laziness alone does take it down a little bit. Also, the fact that she's included with these two open hands sucks because having her in her spade hand pose, it doesn't work like I mentioned in the review, and it looks silly. So the fact that we don't give her with fists, it stinks. So those two marks really take the figure down in my opinion. But like I said, it's an average figure. I mean, it's a solid women's basic. But if you're going for a Shayna Baszler figure to add for your collection, definitely go for that Elite Fan Takeover Amazon exclusive, 1000%. So hopefully Shayna gets an updated Elite in the future with a brand new scan, brand new hair sculpt, because by God, she deserves it. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures and to become an official resident, make sure to hit subscribe and join the community today. Now, I have a really exciting and jam-packed week full of women's wrestling figure reviews, and that's leading up to the Jillies Award Show this Saturday, January 22nd. So I'm really looking forward to that, looking forward to all the brand new women's figure reviews this week, so make sure you stay tuned and check those out. So with that being said, have a great night, y'all.